It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio today. We've got a big project coming up in Sedona that is going to affect a lot of motorists, and I think we're focused more on, local traffic is why I had our guys come in today to do the show today. We're sitting in with Assistant Community Development Director and City Engineer Andy Dickey. Welcome to studio.
Thank you, Paul.
And Engineering Supervisor Stephen Craver. Welcome to studio.
Thank you.
Now, we got a big project starting on Monday in Uptown Sedona, and it's going to be repaving the entire stretch of Uptown Sedona. And so I thought, gosh, it's summertime, a lot of tourists in the area. A lot of folks have to go back and forth through Uptown Sedona. There's folks that live there. People transport themselves up to Flagstaff, Oak Creek Canyon, back through to get the other side of town, and so on and so forth. So it's a big project, and it's going to affect a lot of people. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have you guys come in and sit down. Let's try to go back to the beginning, Andy, and you said you could take care of this for me. Kind of what brought Sedona to the point where we have to repave Uptown Sedona?
Sure. The city took over ownership of this segment of roadway back in 2003 from ADOT. At that time, the city negotiated funds from ADOT for improvements in this area. In 2006, a project was completed with these funds, and essentially this project included aesthetic treatments, which you may see walls and walkways adjacent to the businesses and the street in the Uptown area. And that's mainly what this project included, as well as paving the adjacent parking areas to the street. And that project did not include paving the travel lane area, which is what our current project intends to address. Now, this segment of road sees a high volume of traffic, on average about 25,000 vehicles per day.
Wow, 25,000 a day coming through there, okay.
On an annual average, and at this point, the roadway is seeing failure. It's high cracking. You'll see through the area, bumpy roadway, and it's uneven.
Well, there's been some utility work done through the Uptown area too, right? So that so now you've got the cuts in the pavement as well.
Exactly.
So okay, this will probably clean all of that up.
That's definitely part of the intent. Correct.
Okay, so. How much is the project? Let's start with that. How much is this project?
It's approximately $942,000.
Okay, and that's coming out of the city of Sedona because Sedona now is in charge of that piece of 89A.
That's correct.
As you mentioned.
That's correct. The portion of the road that the city owns essentially runs from LeBear's Lane up to about 500 feet north of Art Barn Lane.
Okay.
So.
And is that the stretch we're paving? What part are we actually going to be paving here
The project limits start actually at Forest Road and run up to the end of the city limits, or city right-of-way, I should say, which, like I said, is 500 feet north of Art Barn Lane.
Okay, now work is scheduled to start Monday, June 15th. What kind of work can we expect to see to begin with?
So for the first couple days, you really just see them kind of a mobile operation, as they'll be saw cutting asphalt, so preparing for removals, starting to set up traffic control. And the project is phased into 4 phases, so that really they'll be only disrupting one lane at a time. So they'll be starting on the northbound lane. So you'll see northbound essentially closed starting Wednesday of next week, and they'll be working in that area for about 2.5 weeks or so, and they'll still have that lane will be closed for that entire duration. They do intend to get the parking adjacent to the northbound lane. Some of that parking will be available as they work through the area. They'll excavate down, build the grade back up, and build ramps into some of the parking areas, so those will be available. So that'll be the majority that you'll see off in the beginning will be just that northbound lane.
Now, when you talk about parking, you're talking about directly off of Highway 89A in Uptown Sedona?
Correct, yeah. There's just the on-street parking. There's more of it on the actual southbound lane. And again, when they'll be working in phases. So as they'll start with the northbound lane, they'll excavate down, build that back up, pave it, and then they'll flip to the center lane, and then they'll flip to the southbound lane. So when they get to the southbound lane, that parking will be disrupted as well, but they'll get it back online as soon as they can. That
is so weird. You say a center lane in Uptown Sedona, and I'm trying to think to myself, is there a center lane in Uptown Sedona? There is.
Right.
Okay, so when you're tearing up northbound, then you still have, I guess that would be the left turn lane, and then you have the southbound lane.
Yeah, so the
To
both
still move traffic through.
Yeah, both directions of traffic will be maintained at all times. So for the majority of the project, you will have one lane of free-flowing traffic that should be undisrupted. There will be times where there'll be intermittent flagging operations that will cause some delays, but we don't expect those to last any longer than 15 minutes or so.
It's not a very big project. I think it's just the location that's kind of unique.
Right. It's just very complex in terms of, the amount of traffic you get and kind of the very restricted travel lanes and that kind of thing, and just maintaining the traffic. And not only that, but the pedestrians are also a big issue. And we will be maintaining all of the crosswalks throughout the project. They will be disrupted for short durations, but they do intend to actually build bridge-type structures to gap whatever lane they're working on that will connect from the crosswalk over to the adjacent lane.
Okay. So the parking then along the businesses on northbound, the parking is going to stay open, so people are going to be backing in and out of the construction zone? Yes or no?
I'm sorry.
Like northbound lane, if that's the first one that's going to get torn up, there's all the parking right along 89A in front of the businesses there. Will that parking remain open while that construction's going on, or?
Some of it will.
Okay.
As they're working immediately adjacent to it and excavating down, it will be blocked. But as soon as they're able to build that grade back up, they will open a few of those spaces. Not all of them. Some of them will have to maintain closed throughout the duration of that first phase. But they will get those parking spots available as quickly as they can.
Okay. Now, probably what we should do is backtrack a little bit. Now, this project, I'm sure people have forgotten when the public meetings happened. I remember doing stories on those, but now here it is, June 15th, it's going to start. But we did have some public meetings to talk with the public and the businesses in Uptown Sedona.
We sure did. We had several meetings actually in Uptown, reaching out to the public. And we also sent out surveys to the public. Mainly we were looking for information for how and when the public wanted us to do this project, essentially. And we actually built our work hours and our time frame for the project on that information that we received from the public.
Okay. And you didn't hold just one. You held several.
There were three.
There were three.
In Uptown.
Okay. It always seems to come in threes. Okay, so now we get the northbound lane all torn up. People are using I'd totally forgotten about that left turn lane down the middle of 89A, because I kept thinking to myself, preparing for the show today, how is it that we're going to get traffic when you got one lane torn up and only one lane open? So we're going to have people driving through the parking areas, but that's not the case. No, there'll be enough room. And you said the lights and everything will stay in operation, crosswalks as well. Is there any utility work that needs to be done?
Not that we foresee. The contractor actually, as part of their design phase services, actually went and did some utility exploration about a month and a half ago. So they went through and they actually did some radar, which finds utilities underground, and they did some potholing, excavating to find where specific utilities were if they seemed to be shallow. So they did identify potential locations, and it seems like all the utilities should be below the excavation area. So we don't foresee any complications with the utilities, and there always could be some. Once you dig down, you could find something you weren't expecting. But at this point, we don't foresee that being an issue.
Well, doing construction, you always got to have a monkey throwing that wrench around, right?
Right.
It's bound to happen at least once or twice. It's got to. It just has to. It's construction. So utilities were probably moved, I would imagine, then on the side of the road back when you guys did. What was that project called, too? We were talking about at the very beginning.
Right. It was the Uptown Enhancement.
Uptown Enhancement, right.
Project.
It was quite the enhancement. I mean, it's gorgeous in Uptown Sedona. Right. So a lot of the utilities were probably moved at that point in time.
They were.
Yeah, okay.
We discovered locations and we recorded where we found those utilities at the time. So coming into this project, we had a good idea of where those utilities should be. So the efforts we expended this time around were just verifying what we thought we knew.
Okay, all right, let's take our first break. Assistant Community Development Director for Sedona and City Engineer Andy Dickey in studio today. Engineering Supervisor Stephen Craver. Also, I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
You're doing great. We're going to try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep pedaling.
Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners when you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
The inherent right to work
is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all, we approach re-employment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Donate to Goodwill, where your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community.
This new dad is picturing a tree house in the sky, but he's ignoring the instructions. Good luck, big guy. His kids know that he's building without a clue. Never been so good with nails and glue. Now we're trapped inside a box. I hope mom knows what to do. Oh! See, you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're talking about the roadwork project that's going to be starting in Uptown Sedona, a repaving project from Forest Road down to just past Art Barn, just before you start heading up Oak Creek Canyon. That project is starting on Monday, June 15th. Phone number for you, 204-7111. I'll get these guys on the phone if you've got questions. And then for information about this project as well, you can go to sedonaaz.gov/UPP. What's the UPP?
Uptown Paving Project.
Uptown Paving Project. Very clever. Okay. Now we want to come back and we want to talk a little bit more about parking because we had some questions there off camera. So is there going to be enough parking for everybody in Uptown Sedona during all this?
Yeah, we believe so. And there is an actual parking restrictions map on our website that will detail which spaces will be available, what periods of time when they won't be available. And it does designate the off-street parking as well. There's several public parking lots in the Uptown area that most people don't know about, so we want to make sure people, if they go and look at that map, they'll see where all these different parking areas are available. And you might have to walk a little bit to get to the Uptown area to do some shopping at that point in time, but when the on-street parking is being disrupted, there still should be plenty of parking available.
Yeah, Brian's putting up, I guess, a satellite image of Uptown Sedona area, and it's got all the parking areas listed. And then on the maps, too, you have the areas kind of color-coded as to which project will be first, second, third, which spaces will be open, which will be closed, with the dates and stuff on those as well. While we're thinking about it, we're early in the show, maybe we should talk about when construction hours will be and how long the project will last and get that kind of out of the way.
Sure. So the project is starting on June 15th. We expect all of the major road work to be done by about July 31st. All the paving should be done at that point in time. And there'll be some minor touch-up work for that final week through August 7th as their contract end date. Mm-hmm. And so each phase as we move through, starting with the northbound lane to the center lane and the southbound lane, should each take about 2 weeks, for each lane, and they'll flip their operation and move to the next lane. And we do have a schedule on our website as well that kind of breaks down by phase what work you should expect to see, each week as the phases progress. So we encourage people to go to the website and we'll post updates if things change, if there's weather delays or anything like that.
There's bound to be that too.
Correct.
In addition to that monkey throwing the wrench, there's bound to be some weather as well because it's been a strange year so far.
Right. So we do want to, I guess, acknowledge that there could be delays. At this point in time, the contract end date is August 7th, but if there are weather delays, that could shift, and we'll keep people up to date if the schedule does get pushed back at all because of delays.
I would think the challenge of paving anything in Uptown Sedona is just the amount of foot traffic going around there. You've got traffic already, and we see that. Maybe let me ask you that first before we get into the pedestrians. Vehicular traffic through Uptown Sedona can get pretty heavy, especially on the weekends. To the point where Sedona PD will come in and actually help direct traffic for a few hours, couple hours, just to get things kind of back to normal again. Will we be seeing some of that, do you think, in the Uptown area?
We will. We have a couple of holidays that will come up in the middle of the construction schedule, one being the 4th of July. So we do expect a high volume of traffic and tourism during that time. So it's very likely that we may need to implement that traffic control plan through our police department during that time. And we do have some components in this project that will actually help with implementing that in the future, some built-in traffic control devices that'll help us efficiently put that traffic control up in the future.
Being built into the road?
That's correct.
Oh, what do we have coming that's going to help out with that?
Essentially, what we do in these operations is we take a portion of that center turn lane and we add capacity for the southbound. So we turn that into an additional through lane. Mm-hmm. To do that, what we're looking at implementing is some devices that you put right into the pavement, and it allows a quick insertion and release of this. Basically, it's a bollard is what it is. So it divides the lane.
Okay, so in times of heavy traffic, you guys will be able to just go out there and put those in real fast, and hopefully that'll help things flow a little bit smoother through there.
That's something we're looking at. You know, it's a new piece of equipment for us, so we're looking to implement it partially initially to make sure that it's going to work, and then as long as it's working, we'll fully implement that.
Uptown Sedona's a tricky place. I mean, you look at it, it's not that big. It doesn't go on forever, but boy, oh boy, there is a lot of stuff going on in Uptown. I mean, there's only a few roads that actually lead off of it. It's Jordan, and then Jordan Road, you can get back in from Apple. It's Apple, right?
Correct.
So, and then there's Forest.
Right.
Other than that, there really is...
On the east side of the road, you have Arroyo Roble, and you have Art Barn. I mean, that also...
I guess you've got a lot of entrances to different places on that side, too. Right. So what's going to be done to kind of... everybody that lives in the area and has for a while, driving through Uptown Sedona, you know, sometimes it can be like the game Frogger, where you've got pedestrians just kind of jumping across in front of you all up and down that area. Anything in the future on that to try to keep people kind of funneled to... We have crosswalks up there, but I know when I drive through Uptown Sedona, there's still the occasional person that's just darting across that road. Anything changing there?
In the near term, we're looking at some minor improvements to try to incrementally improve that. Some things like trying to make the mid-block crosswalk more effective and efficient. We've implemented these, they're basically push buttons that are audible, and they're aimed at trying to get better compliance with folks that just want to cross without having the right-of-way, you might say. And we're also looking at putting in new sidewalks to direct pedestrian traffic to the correct crosswalk locations. Currently, there are areas where essentially there is no walkway, so you find folks coming out of those parking areas and just essentially walking across the street. Right. So we're trying to make incremental improvements along those lines.
It's tough. It is tough. Back to the construction. We're going to northbound first. That's going to last 2 weeks. Right. That doesn't seem very long. 2 weeks ought to go pretty fast. You know, they basically have to mill up that old asphalt, and then they're going to, what'd you say, rebuild the subgrade?
Correct. So they're actually they're excavating down about 16 inches. So they'll come in and they'll mill the asphalt. They'll actually then backtrack and they'll just mill down the native soil as well, and then they'll build that back up with, you know, the subgrade. So we have that structural section, and then pave 6 inches of asphalt over the top of that.
And then they turn around, they come down the middle lane.
Well, so they'll be working northbound in all cases. So they'll start at Forest, working towards Art Barn. Gotcha. When they finish that one, they'll come back, start at Forest in the center lane, working up towards Art Barn. I did want to mention the hours as well. I forgot to when you were asking about the schedule. So the hours for the project are going to be 5 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Friday. And that was kind of a compromise for the business owners in Uptown. The retail shops obviously want to see night work. The hoteliers want to see day work. And so we tried to kind of compromise to where the hotels won't be disrupted for an extended period of time. It'll be some early morning work, but we've asked the contractor to limit the noisy work until after 7 a.m. And then that way the businesses, the retail shops will still have operating hours outside of the construction window. You know, so from 3:30 to, you know, if they want to stay open later till 8 or 9, they have the ability to do that and still have some time without the construction happening.
All right, we got to take our second break already. 204-7111, a good phone number for you. SedonaAZ.gov/UPP is a good website to check out all the maps and stuff that we have coming up on the screen today during the show. Countywide will be back in just a couple minutes.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly. Tiana gave her pet the royal treatment. Belle found beauty where no one else did. And you can too. Share your heart. Share your love. Bring home your forever friend. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
This is why you get by on 4 hours sleep. Why you took a second job. This is why you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. And spend hours juggling the bills. This is why you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Now more options are available. Call 888-995-HOPE to talk one-on-one with a housing expert today.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program, so kind of a punch list thing for you here. Phone number again, 204-7111. Website is sedonaaz.gov/UPP. Work starts Monday, June 15th, goes through July 31st. In a perfect world, it'll all be done on that time, and everyone will be happy. But, of course, there's always a possibility we got the monsoon coming. It almost feels like the monsoon is here, so we've got those challenges already. Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. is work schedule.
Correct.
Friday is 5 to 1 p.m. So Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, no road work in Uptown Sedona.
Correct.
But we should still be very careful because there is still a construction zone up there.
Correct.
Right.
And there will be no work on Friday, July 3rd for the holiday weekend, as well as Friday, July 24th, which is when the Sedona Main Street program has their National Day of the Cowboy event.
Okay. So no work on those days. And I think we've hit just, I'm asking you the common question that I know ADOT gets it all the time. It's always the question. Why are you guys doing this in the middle of summer when it's busy, busy, busy in Uptown Sedona? Not that they have a really downtime anymore. I remember when Sedona Uptown actually did have a downtime in the winter months. You'd be standing there working, twiddling your thumbs, wondering what to do with yourself because there wasn't a lot of traffic, but it doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Why are you doing the work in the summer and not in the fall or the winter? Who wants to take it?
It's really, in the wintertime, you have to have a certain ambient temperature in order to pave. In the wintertime, it's just too cold, is really what it comes down to. And as far as the months that we did choose, the busiest times that we've heard from the business owners is that March and April in the springtime, and then again in the fall are really the busiest times. So we have to do it in the summer when it's warm enough to pave and still try to avoid the actual busiest times that we see up there.
Spring break? Fall colors.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Right.
Those are the busiest times. Yeah, people want to go see Oak Creek Canyon during the fall colors. Okay, I think we've covered everything. 204-7111. Again, sedonaaz.gov/UPP. Andy, Stephen, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. If you need something, let us know, and we'll pass the word along. But hopefully everything goes smoothly and gets done quick and on time. I know you guys hope that happens as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming in. That's today's Countywide program. We'll talk to you again next time.